legend Jamie Carragher had this to say after the game. Liverpool have never sacked a manager who's won the league. Never in their history. I couldn't believe at the weekend that people were talking about the manager's job when I spoke to Liverpool supporters after losing at home to Nottingham Forest. It's only going to amplify now. I've always been in the camp, you stick with your manager. I'm angry with the players, if I'm being totally honest, but if it does get to the stage with any manager at any club where I always use this word untenable, it can't go on any longer. I'm not quite there yet, personally, in terms of the manager, but I know a lot of the supporters will be. Right, good morning to Rob Earnshaw. Rob, last night, was it a turning point in Arne Slot's reign?
It was one step towards that. But I still don't think that it was a turning point. I think after last night, there's a lot more worry for Liverpool. Just because you look at, okay, where they are, and you just think, even last night, you just think, this is the game they'll turn it around. So we've been like that for a while, and they've lost 9 out of 12 now. So when it's like that, I think last night's result, I think, really is going to wake up the changing room, wake up Arne Slot, because I think even last night they were pretty good actually for pretty much of the game, but they're going to lose 4-1. So there's real questions to be asked. There's some real deep soul searching to be had at Liverpool, and in some sense it's not uncommon because remember, look at what we saw not last season. The season before, Man City winning all the titles, all the trophies. Last season, we saw an unbreakable Pep Man City team drop down and continue to lose and concede loads of goals. So it's very similar to what we saw from Man City last season to this Liverpool team now. They're the champions. They're the ones to beat. And now teams are now finding it easy to score against them. And then also on top of that, they're not scoring goals.
Crucially, they did win the title last season. All right. If Arne Slot hadn't won the title this season, would he be gone now?
I think that question would be right at the front of the picture. Yeah. I think because he won the title, it buys him a bit of time. And also, I think also the other side of it, not just won the title, I thought he was very good. I thought he was excellent last year. I think I remember around this time, I think I came on one of the shows, and when I looked at Liverpool, everybody says, oh, how are we going to recover after Jurgen Klopp is gone? Well, his team were more looking like champions than the previous 2 seasons from the Liverpool team of Klopp. So for me, I thought he was excellent. Tactically, I think he understands it. He's very sharp. I think you can really compete against the very best in Guardiola and Arteta. But I just think that he's got credit in the bank, and he should do, because he's very good. And also the other thing is this: if you don't have Arne Slot for Liverpool, well, who else is at that level to take this Liverpool team to the next level? I don't think there's that many right now. And also, I actually think that he should be still the Liverpool manager.
Well, good timing, because remember, we've just been telling you that Jamie Carragher said his position is not untenable. We asked the viewers on our poll that question right there. It's not untenable yet, do you agree? 54% say no. That they don't agree there. I mean, in terms of in the dressing room, we don't know what goes on there, Rob, but as a former player, are you getting the impression that he does still have the support of the players?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think he does have... See, some things... players will be the last ones to normally question the manager. Because normally it starts with the fans, starts with the media. That's where it starts. And normally players are the last ones to really question, because day to day they went in with them. And right now I actually think Arne Slot is very good. So it's a question of little small details rather than big changes. They went out this summer, spent so much money. They went and bought what is classed as the top players around Europe to bring into Liverpool. So they've done that. And on top of that, then they've got a very, very good manager who is a champion. And on top of that, they've also got a Mo Salah who has an unbelievable last season. So they've got the team. It's very strange that we have and we sit in this position where a team that's got their champions, then they go and spend to increase the quality in their squad, and they've got a very good manager and a champion at that, and they really drop like this. It's very, very strange. There's a few little things that I think is the problem. The biggest problem is the duels, the 1v1s individually. I was at the Liverpool Forest game on the weekend, and I could just see all the individual battles getting lost. And then in the crucial moments, the other team, Forest, get the chance, bang, 1-0. Then it's 2-0. And then you think, oh, of course it's not they're going to come back. No, they're not scoring goals. They're conceding goals. And they're, right now, too easy to play against. And I think that's the biggest worry rather than the manager. They've got a very good team. Everything on paper, we rewind back 3-4 months ago, and everybody in this country went and said, as soon as they signed Isak, it's Liverpool's title.
And they started so well. Beat Arsenal, and then a few months later, this is the top elite professional sport. This is the I guess the cut is you can drop off so quickly, and this Liverpool's team is dropping off very, very fast. They have to stop it very, very quickly, because right now, for me, they're out of the title race. But imagine, they go and actually build for the title race and the Champions League, and they're nowhere near both. That is a real worry. Sky Sports are partnered with Analysis, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, scan the QR code here or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. Let's speak to Liverpool fan Connor Ray now. Good morning to you, Connor. I know it's not a great morning for you, let's be honest, but you'll know that Jamie Carragher said that Slot's position is almost getting to the point of untenable, but not there yet. How do you see it?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with him, to be honest. I'm still not just about in the camp where I think he should go yet. I think, as Rob said a minute ago, he's still got plenty of credit in the bank from last season and stuff, but it is running out fast, and it's running out fast because the performances, especially at home as well, have been nothing short of embarrassing. I think that the bigger problem, and something that I heard echoed around the ground last night by the fans sitting around me, was it's even so much the results, it's the manner of the performance, it's the lack of desire, it's the lack of fight, it's the repeating the same mistakes time in, time and out, and I think that's the part that's starting to get fans back up. And I will say I know I don't sit just yet in slot out territory, but the fans that were sitting around me last night definitely were.
Well, so that's it. There were audible boos at full time. Now, I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I can't remember very many times when Liverpool have been booed off at Anfield. You'll know that more than me. So when you say there were fans around you with a different opinion to yourself and Jamie Carragher, are they starting to be the majority rather than the minority?
Yeah, it was a shock. It was a shock to me as well, and to my dad. That was sort of we talked about it in the final few minutes, especially once that fourth goal had gone in, and sort of said, look, they're in danger here of being booed, and we were trying on the way home to remember when that had last happened, and we can't remember it in our lifetime of hearing it quite as vocally. The fans are entitled to that opinion as well. I don't hold the boos against any of them. We don't like to hear it, and we didn't partake in it ourselves because we still perhaps foolishly hold the belief that this can be turned around. The squad's too good to suffer for this long, but how long does it go on, right? Like, how many more games do you lose before you start to think, well, is that just a pipe dream?
How long have you got, Connor? What's your... You say you're not there yet, but when is that? When are you thinking that, okay, now you've had enough?
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem, isn't it, Rob? It's like, it's how long is a piece of string? If I said last night, I said to my dad before last night's game, I said the only way that last night became a massive problem for Slot was if we didn't win, which sounds daft to say, but what I meant by that was it should have been a routine win for us, really. It's PSV, it's a Dutch team, he knows the Dutch league inside out, he's gone and bossed it before, and that's a team that he, of all managers, should know how to beat, even when we're in a poor run of form. So to lose 4-1 at home was embarrassing.
And it's West Ham, Sunderland and Leeds next in the Premier League, And then, OK, there's Inter in between that, but then Brighton at home. I mean, that yesterday with the guests on the show were saying that that's got to be, forget the Brighton game, the next 3 games have to be 9 points. Do you expect to get 9 points the way you're playing?
No. At the moment, I don't expect to get any, to be honest. I think I was saying just before to the producer there that the prospect of playing Sunderland at home next week is terrifying. And when was the last time as Liverpool fans that playing Sunderland at Anfield was a terrifying prospect? It's a really, really bizarre position to be in as a fan. And you're just sort of holding on to this false hope that the next game will be the one where we see that performance. And I suppose I'm a little bit still clinging to stuff like the Villa game and the Real Madrid game a couple of weeks ago. If we came out and played like that, we'd beat all of these teams, no problem. But you're absolutely right, Tom, but we're going into a period of fixtures where we are looking at some of, on paper, the easiest games we'll have this season, and we're not picking up any points. I'm not confident going into West Ham. I'm not confident going into Sunderland. I'm terrified of the San Siro, I've got to be honest.
Connor, just on that, what worries you the most about this Liverpool team right now? From what you saw last season to right now, which area or players worries you right now where you're not seeing the best performances?
There's 2 bits for me on that, Rob, and 2 really distinct bits. The first one is the individual errors that I know you talked about before as well, like Van Dijk's penalty last night and his yellow card tackle and the being half a yard off the pace all game was so uncharacteristic of the Van Dijk we've seen. Konate with the individual error that led to the 3rd goal as well, and the errors he's made recently. I don't know why he's still in the team. Kerkez has been in terrible form, but still, again, 2nd goal was culpable for that one. So I think those individual errors, I've been furious with the players at times this season, and last night was no different. And the second part of that as well, also a little bit on the players, it's the reaction to going behind. Last night was a breath of fresh air when that penalty went in. Every single one of that Liverpool team turned around, got the ball, ran back to the halfway line, put it down. Salah's there trying to fire the crowd up to get them going. And they did. The performance reflected that, and we got back into the game. And at half-time, you're thinking, this is better, we're on top. When the second PSV goal went in, the body language around the team was absolutely unacceptable. You looked around, and I said to my dad, and said, we may as well go now if this game's done. Like, we're not going to get back into this one, because you could see to a man, all of the Reds had dropped. None of them were interested in getting back into the game, and that was reflected in the performance from then on.
And there's a lot of despair about Liverpool's performances lately. Of course, are we underestimating the personal aspect of this with these players? It has been brought up several times, but they are still grieving from a real loss of a person, of a teammate in Diogo Jota, not just the loss of a football match here and there.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool fans have been asked this a lot recently. I think Liverpool fans and the players and the manager and nobody associated with the club or fans around the world, nobody's ever going to use that as an excuse. It's not an excuse, but there's no denying that it's a factor in and you can see that it's affecting them. We saw even when we were winning games at the start of the season how emotional Salah was. I think we've seen from his lack of media presence, there's something else Jamie Carragher's talked about. I think that's linked to this as well. I think he's trying to focus on his game as best he can. And we can't, there's no way of us knowing what the impact of that is on that dressing room and how it's affected the players. There's no way of us knowing how it's affected certain fans as well. It's something you never expect to happen, and something that you can't really deal with until it does, right? So yeah, I think whilst it's not an excuse, and I think that there's other issues that can be addressed in the meantime, I think it's certainly been a factor.
OK, Connor, thank you.
Thanks very much.
What went wrong for Liverpool tonight at Anfield? Liverpool 1, PSV 4. If Forest was bad at the weekend, Michael, was that even worse?
Oh, 100%. Without a shadow of a doubt. And I probably didn't give PSV enough respect when you see them 13 games in the domestic league, 34 points. But I still expected Liverpool to turn up tonight and win and show a reaction. 9 defeats in 12 games. I mean, that is disastrous. That is a team that is lacking any self-belief, anything going forward. I look and think, here we go. We got a response after 6 minutes from going behind. Defensive of set pieces, they always look vulnerable. But they responded from the penalty set back. And I thought, here we go, half-time, they get the goal. Very, very confident in wide areas. Pretty much what I saw at the weekend against Nottingham Forest. But then second half, I expected them to come out and hit the ground running. How wrong was I? There was only one team out there in the second half. And when they got the noses in front, PSV, they were absolutely dominant. And the goal probably summed it up. Junior goes past Salah as if he's not there. I mean, it's on the halfway line, so you think, all right, he's an attacking player, you don't have to defend. Trust me, when you're in the rut that they're in at this moment in time, you defend, you scrap, you fight, you kick the ball out of play, you do whatever you want to do to try and get a result, and they didn't show that. And the ball from from Junior that gets inside for Gus Till, Kirke switches off, he gets inside and he puts the ball in the back of the net. And from that moment, then you think, can they respond? And Liverpool just haven't got that fight at the moment. They haven't got the belief individually and collectively. And then the mistake from Kanate and he gets taken off. And I just look round and I think Arne Slot has to make changes now. He has to bring Robertson in, he has to bring Joe Gomez in, because these players, we touched on it before, all of us, about confidence, and they are low. This is a real challenging time for Arne Slot. Don't get me wrong, we touched on Diego Jota. They're real challenging time. But when you're a manager, you have to try and galvanise his team, you have to try and bring some belief back, and 9 defeats in 12 is really, really hard for him at this moment in time.
9 defeats in their last 12 games, 4 in the last 6 at Anfield, and that's their joint biggest Champions League defeat tonight, Michael. I heard Arne Slot say in the week, we are not the sort of club where losing can become the norm. You look at that, it's becoming the norm. Listen, we sat here and praised him for everything he did last season. Quite incredible, the impact he made in his first season in English football. But how long can this carry on for at Liverpool football?
Well, the next 3 league games, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds. If he goes drastically wrong in those 3 games, Arne Slot will be in big trouble. Look, I'm not talking about getting rid of him. There will be big talks going on. I listened to Virgil van Dijk come out after the game at the weekend saying, look, individually you have to take responsibility. Of course you do as players. When you cross that white line and you were in a position at half-time, I would expect Arne Slot saying, lads, great response. You go down, what do you show? You show a desire and a fight, and they showed that. They showed anything but in the second half, and that is unacceptable. At Anfield, to lose 4-1 against PSV after being 1-1 at half-time, and they looked like they were in cruise control. I thought they were going to win it comfortably. Yeah. And at this moment in time, they have to find something. They have to find an inner belief from yourself. You've got to go home, look at yourself and go, did I do enough there? Individually they didn't, and collectively. I don't care whether it be from back to front, Virgil van Dijk as a leader, people running past him. And I just think sometimes you try too hard. He was making decisions there that when I was going through hard times, this is one of the best centre-backs that I've spoken about ever to play in the Premier League. And we're just not seeing it at this moment in time.
Steven Gerrard's just been talking about it. He says that Liverpool back 4 that finished that game is not a Liverpool back 4. They've conceded 4 goals tonight. You talk about changes. I mean, clearly that's where it's got to start. But do the answers lie within, or is January the only way out of this?
Well, he's brought Frimpong in. He's injured. You've got Conor Bradley, who's injured. Those 2 players would start ahead of Curtis Jones at right back. It was Szoboszlai on Saturday against Nottingham Forest. I looked at the team before and I thought he's probably played Kirkes to try and give him some confidence, because I'm sure Arne Slot thought we'll turn up tonight, we'll put a good performance and we're back to winning ways. We'll leave Andy Robertson out, and I think Andy Robertson has to come into the team just to help Virgil van Dijk at this moment in time. Do you know what I mean? Andy Robertson looked like he was out the door in the summer, and I'm so glad he stayed, because all of a sudden he has one bad season after being there for what? I don't know, probably 10 years. Arguably one of the best left backs in the world for many of them as well. And then all of a sudden he comes as a dip in form last year when they win the Premier League. How does that happen? Kirkes comes in because he does well, and I think he needs taking out the firing line. Pressure needs to be taken off at your time. Let some experience, let other people come in and take the roles and try and get this club back to where we all expect Liverpool to be.
With Kirkes, though, there's probably another 19 clubs who would have took Kirkes.
Yeah, but we talk about managers being at a Brentford, a Bournemouth, a Brighton. You're going to Liverpool, one of the best clubs in the world. Scrutiny is on you, week in, week out, minute after minute. And if you're not winning, and that's not Kirkes' fault, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting it all on the new players. Kirkes, Vert, Ekitike, Isak. You need to have it collectively to try and get this winning mentality, and it helps. And at this moment in time, they're all struggling.
What a result at Anfield, quite incredible. Let's finish with a final word for Merce, who's watched a very different story at the Emirates. Arsenal beating Bayern Munich by 3 goals. Listen, I don't know if they needed to make a statement win in the season that's going so well for them, Merce, but how big a statement is a victory like that tonight?
Oh, huge. That goes all around Europe, and there's no doubt about that. This Bayern Munich team is just blowing everybody away. I know their league's not like our league, but they're proven in Europe. They go deep in European competition. Yeah, for me, outstanding. First half was touch and go. Both teams had their periods in it. Second half, they just steamrolled them. You know, Ben White come on, Odegaard, Calafiori, Martinelli, Madueke. I mean, they're the 5 subs. I mean, they walk into a lot of teams. For all their squad and how brilliant it is, they can't afford to lose Declan Rice. The man, it just gets better and better and better. He was absolutely outstanding. Run him into the ground.
Their most important player now?
For me, without 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. He is it. But the lad Zubimendi as well, phenomenal. I mean, sit down, buckle in on Sunday, Super Sunday. Now we're talking Super Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a Super Sunday. That's a massive football match. I think Arsenal win that game. I think it's good night nurse. I do. I think it's all over. I think completely and utterly they won't be caught. They'll just blow everybody away.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki Eze, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Mourinho believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Mourinho praised Eze's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. "We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well," the Spain international said. "Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem. The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first." When asked about Eze specifically, Mourinho didn't hesitate. "I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing." Mourinho also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. "These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal." Beyond the technical qualities, Mourinho believes Eze's attitude, and the healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Ebereki's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. "He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play. It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team." As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Eze's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Eze's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Eze as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Iza's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Iz can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Iz, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Iz's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Mourinho's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Iz's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Iz can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Iz brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Iz will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Ebereki Iz was signed for. Martin Odegaard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odegaard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of the knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Ebereki Iz stepped into the spotlight. Iz's sensational hat-trick in the North London Derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving Iz out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and Iz is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Mikel Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Iz has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Iz and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because ease has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Ease had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace, a clever finish that sealed victory. Now, with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just one behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Ease is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Victor Gyökeres, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Ease is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Ease force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Ease's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Ease and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubimendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Ease has changed what we can do in the final third." That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Ease, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Victor Gyökeres, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.